CHAMPS Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University, where Blue Devils dare. Also brought to you in part by Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The U.S. Army, what's your warrior? The Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan, because better coaching always matters. Welcome to another throwdown of the show with so much moxie, we routinely drop 50-footers from the logo. This is Hangtime, Michigan. I'm your hype man, Lauren Plant. This is Scott Bernstein and TJ Kelly, two guys who proudly worship at the Church of the Charity Stripe. You guys good?
Hey, great. Love it. I'm in hoop heaven, man. We're in the thick of it, and you get to go to a game almost every night, and, I couldn't ask for anything better.
That's right. Lots of b-ball taking place right now all across the state. We will have two conversations this week. Number one, coaching milestones. Time to show some love to the lifers. Topic number two, the Red Hawks showcase in Grand Rapids last weekend lived up to the billing. We have thoughts, and we'll preview the week ahead. But speaking of the Red Hawks showcase, that is where we begin. This portion of the highlights presented by the U.S. Army.
I'm Zach Herrick from the West Michigan area. It was the 6th annual Red Hawks Showcase put on by the host Grand Rapids Union, who took on Flint Carman Ainsworth. Early on, all Red Hawks as Rayvon Anderson kicks out to Jeremiah Pittman, who hits the triple. Red Hawks up by 5 early on. But on the other end, the Cavaliers respond. Mekhi Ellison with the strong take, left-hand finish off the glass. That cuts the deficit down to 3. And Ellison would get it done on the defensive side as well. The steal here leads to a coast-to-coast finish. He had 13 points in the game. Cavaliers enjoyed a 14-point fourth-quarter lead when Isaiah Jones puts the finishing touches on this one. Flint Carman Ainsworth takes this one 70-53 to improve to 8-4 on the season. Next up, unbeaten Grand Rapids Christian taking on Farmington in the showcase. Junior superstar Kobe Buffkin hoping to lead the way again for the Eagles. And he would early on in transition. Buffkin going to pull up for the triple and knock it down. But the Falcons would get off to a really good start. Jaden Akins finds DeMarco Coakley in the corner for 3. Farmington would take an 11-3 lead just minutes in. But at the end of the quarter, Christian junior Donovan Brown Boyd with the triple at the buzzer. He gets it to go. Christian down 9 after the first 8 minutes. And the Eagles would get it going. Buffkin hits Brown Boyd for 3 of his 21 points on the afternoon. Christian would take a 13-point lead in the third quarter. But Akins would not go down without a fight. One of the top juniors in the state in his own right hits the 3 to pull the Falcons within 10. He had the game-high 26 in this one. But it would be Buffkin finishing this one off with a two-handed slam. 2 of his 14 points in the game. Grand Rapids Christian remains unbeaten 69-54, the final. Another unbeaten putting their perfect record on the line as Hudsonville took on Orchard Lake St. Mary's in the Red Hawks showcase. Early on, Julian Roper the second to Jason Drake the second for 3. That would lead to a Hudsonville timeout, but the Eaglets would keep the foot on the pedal. Jack Crichton to Peter Nwoke for the two-handed slam. St. Mary's would take a 12-point lead. The Eagles trying to get back into it in the second half. Johnny Miller with the fancy spin move in the lane and the finish inside. He had 10 in the game. Hudsonville would cut it down to 10, but Lauren Bowman the second would dash their comeback hopes. He knocks down back-to-back triples late, and it's Orchard Lake St. Mary's handing the Eagles their first loss of the season, 65-47. Nobody getting let in for the East Kentwood Cass Tech game of the showcase. A capacity crowd inside City High School of Grand Rapids. Both teams led by their usual superstars in this one. Jamani Jones hits the 3 off the inbounds play. East Kentwood off to a nice start, but on the other end, it's Tyson Acuff, the senior, steps up with a triple of his own, and you see much more of both of these guys in this game. In the fourth quarter, EK up 1. Adonis Vachon finds Jones in the corner. He had 26 in the game. But back comes Acuff and the technicians. The drive, the finish, through contact. We would go to overtime tied at 53. Acuff had a game-high 38 in this one. And in that overtime period, Kyle LeGrare going to attack the basket and finish with the right hand. The technicians hang on to win this one 58-57 in overtime.
How you doing? My name is First Class Adams. Hey, what's up, Detroit? I'm Staff Sergeant Stevens. If you're within the age of 17 to 34, if you look for a job without any experience, we can teach you everything you need to know. Come be a part of the team.
And where you can locate us at is on goarmy.com/Michigan.
And our phone number is 586-774-0218 or 517-214-8542.
Go Army.
All right, some great games right there. We're holding off our Red Hawk Showcase talk to the next segment because we have 2 more highlights to show you a little later in the show. But right now, we want to shout out the coaches who have dedicated the majority of their adult life to serving the game of basketball. Scott, let's give some props to those hitting some milestones this season.
Lamonta Stone over at River Rouge, we spoke about it last week. He got number 200, and then we've got a number of guys that have reached the 300 club. John Hall over at Almont is going to reach it this week. He's at 299, but I expect him to get 300 this week. Dennis Hopkins over at Oakland Christian, one of the best small school coaches in the state. He got 300 back by New Year's.
Okay.
And then Denny Butcher over at Walled Lake Western. He's been all over the place. Started his career at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. His dad, Donnie Butcher, was a player in the NBA, coached the Detroit Pistons. He got number 300 around Christmas time too. All these guys just master motivators, expert tacticians, guys that are just great for the game, the kind of coaches that you would just, die to give your kid to mentor, and guys that always have teams that play really hard, gritty basketball, smart basketball.
Without a doubt. And I think the most important thing about guys, that the lifers that you're talking about, is the legacy that they leave behind with the success of the players that they've coached and how they've gone on to be outstanding citizens. There's a lot of life after basketball, in basketball, that's taught, and obviously, it's great to have these guys as great mentors.
Yeah, Denny Butcher took that 94 team Orchard Lake St. Mary's all the way to the state finals. They lost at the buzzer, but that team had David Bowens, who went on to have a decade-long career in the NFL, Diallo Johnson, who went on to catch passes at Michigan from Tom Brady, John Hall, who spent the majority of his career at Rochester Adams. He was there for, I think, 12, 13 years before he moved over to Almont, I think 3 years ago. And at Adams, he coached Spencer Littleson, who's doing really well at Toledo right now. He was a Mr. Basketball finalist. Kemji Williams, who had a great career at Lake State and is now overseas. Hall at Adams took the Highlanders to, I believe, at least 2 Sweet 16s and just did a really good job at that program. Dennis Hopkins has taken Oakland Christian to, I think, 2 quarterfinals and just does a really great job at the small school level.
Yeah, Hopkins is one of my more favorite follows on Twitter, on social media. Just drops knowledge and, a free game, as they like to say, but dropping dimes that, can help out in future coaches, let other players know, hey, we're here behind you, and the little tic-tacs that you want to pick up as, that's going to help you on the basketball level.
Who are some of the young names right now that we'll be talking about 10 years from now getting their 300th win and beyond? And when I say young, I mean relatively young in their coaching career. Yeah. Some guys who we think are going to prove to be legends.
Coach Niz over at Roseville, Ricky Palmer at Brother Rice, Coach Kirsten at Bloomfield Hills is doing a great job. Just pulled the upset on North Farmington the other night.
Yeah, I look at a guy like Derek Edwards at Detroit CMA. They'll be playing in the quarterfinals coming up. Then you look at a guy like Brandon Guyton over at Grand Rapids Union, and I'm at the Red Hawk Showcase, where we're going to talk about later, which was phenomenal. And what he's done over the last 6-7 years, and he's under 30.
Tim Wasilk over at Clarkson, he's only 42 years old.
There you go. You ask for a few, you get many. All right, these guys will be back, and we'll talk the showcase shortly. What's up, Puckheads? Sean and John here. Don't forget, you can check out Hockey Times. Every week, we are going to be talking about what's going on in the great state of Michigan at the high school level. So much good hockey being played, and we're going to do our best to cover it from all vantage points in the great state of Michigan. New episodes drop every Wednesday right around 3 o'clock.
Hey, State Champs Nation, Jenna Skalski here, and I'm here to tell you to check out the State Champs Michigan Winter Roundup premiering every Friday at 5 p.m. all winter long. The Roundup is where you can find highlights in girls basketball, boys swimming, competitive cheer, wrestling, bowling, and gymnastics. Presented by Lawrence Tech, check out the State Champs Michigan Winter Roundup, premiering Fridays at 5 p.m. on the State Champs Sports Network and the State Champs app.
Hey everybody, time for another edition of Fast Break here on Hangtime, Michigan. We are thrilled to have Keith Richardson, who is the assigner of officials for the Saginaw Valley Conference. He is stepping in today along with Dan Young of BCAM, and we are here to, I think really, I want to make it clear that people understand we've got an officials crisis beginning to happen here, and it's actually been developing for quite some time. And what I mean by that is there may be at some point in the future, maybe the near future, we don't have enough. So the problem is, why are we having an issue getting young people to jump into becoming officials? But the problem is, and there are many of them, and let's just kind of touch on them as we see this, is that they don't want to go through the hassle. They don't want to get lambasted on the court because of decisions that they're making, whether it's from fans, whether it's from the student section, or whether it's from coaches or whoever, they don't feel it's worth the hassle.
I would say that coaching and officiating basketball is not easy, but is very rewarding on both sides. And we've both been there. Yes, sir. And we can speak for those types of situations. But in answering that it is tough, it takes a certain person with some thick skin. But there are a lot of you out there that I think would be very well rewarded for being a part of high school athletics, middle school and high school athletics.
Absolutely. It's about communication. And again, we had mentioned in our other segment, which you'll watch on the Winter Roundup, where we were talking about the relationship between coaches and officials. The average age right now for officials in the state of Michigan is in the early 50s. So it's going to age out at some point. We need more young people to be a part of the game. I love what you said when we talked about before we shot this, where immediately before a game, you'll go to the student section and talk to them. Tell me about that.
We have 15 minutes when we walk out, and once I get the captains and we take it, and I just got some time to kill, I'll turn to the student section. Because I think a lot of times they don't realize we're human beings. I know I did. I didn't. I thought the officials, when I played,
you're this robot.
They didn't speak. They didn't have a life or anything like that. But I turned to them and I started talking to them. I started interacting. And once I got their attention, I would say, "How many would like to do this?" And kind of get that. I talk about, how much money I'm making tonight? I'm making $75 tonight for 2 hours of work. That's $30-something an hour. I said, more you can make in McDonald's. I go through all of that, and I talk about the camaraderie, being out and part of it. I got the best seat in the house. I'm in shape. I love to do this. And I go through all of that with them and try to get them to be part of it. I said, by the way, I'm the assigner, so if you really want to do this, I can get you started. And then
what happened?
I get the death stare. I don't want to be yelled at. Well, that's part of the game. I know, I understand that. And we try to work that, but at the end of the day, they just don't seem to be interested, and I don't know why. I really cannot put my finger on it. But I'm not going to give up. Trust me, I'm not going to give up on them.
I think you're still in the game. If you played and you loved the game, any sport, and now you're out of the game, it gets you back in the game. And there's something about being still in the game, in the mix.
But before we wrap it up, Keith, talk about the problem that you're having now and where the situation is in the state in terms of referees and availability.
The two things that are, first of all, is I take my top 15 guys and gals. The average age is almost 65. Whoa. And I've already had 5 or 6 tell me at the end of the season, we're done. Well, the biggest problem that we face with that, once they leave, all that experience, especially with coaches, goes with them. Right. And I just don't have, I'm going to say just don't have enough young officials coming in to take their place. And the ones that are don't have that experience yet. They'll get there, but they're not there yet. No, 20 years ago, like you said, Dan, we had enough coming in when the seasons were split to come in, and we were able to train them 5-6 years. We were able to put them out there. We don't have that luxury anymore. And yet, the game's faster, the players are stronger, they're still 16 years old, and we're getting a year older every year.
That's right. That's right. So we need to respect our officials. Fans, respect the officials. These guys are working hard out there. You don't want to just play a scrimmage. You want to play a game. You need these guys out there, so treat them the way that you would like to be treated. I'm going to tell you this right now. We're going to do another segment in the future at some point this season where we're going to talk about all the advantages to being a referee, how you get signed up, what you have to do, how long it takes. I promise that'll be a future segment of B Camp. But for now, Keith Richardson and Dan Young, of course, as always, thanks for being here.
I admit it. I love working with money, negotiating, and making big decisions. That's why I'm majoring in finance and economics at Lawrence Tech. What's truly amazing about the education here is the small class sizes that give me easy access to my professors who truly care about my future. They even helped me get a great internship. And I was able to fulfill my lifelong dream of playing college golf. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.
My dad and my grandfather are officials. I've grown up around officials and seeing how much they enjoy being part of the games. As a student athlete, I've always appreciated the people out there who are willing to give back to the kids. The Legacy program lets me officiate while I'm still in high school, working younger kids' games. Officiating gives me a better understanding of the game. I get to make some pretty good money for a high school kid, and I even get to spend some quality time with my dad. There's help wanted. Just whistle.
We're getting reports that you have over 40,000 flavor combinations.
That's right.
May I examine one, ma'am? Is this real cheese?
100% real mozzarella, officer.
Explain this dough.
Made fresh daily.
I'm gonna have to confiscate this as evidence.
Aren't you a mall cop?
All units, someone's in the fountain.
10-4. Tiger on the prowl.
Treat yourself to the world's first stuffed flavored crust pizza. And now for just $6.99, try our new stuffed Howie bread. Hungry? Howie!
Lauren Plant back here, and I'm calling out all League of Legends players. That's right, esports, to get your school signed up for this year's 4th annual league and tournament. Did you know that there has already been nearly $1 million given out in scholarship money by Lawrence Tech to not just the winning team of the tourney, but the runners-up too? Get 5 guys from your school. Regular season starts in February, playoffs in April, championship finale in May at Lawrence Tech in Southfield, Michigan. Sign up right now at statechampsesports.net. Oh yeah, the league is free. We're accepting teams from Indiana and Michigan. It's epic. Be a part of it. For all information, including sign up, go to statechampsesports.net and do it right now. Registration will end very soon. I'm Lauren Plant, and back to the B-ball. Ann Arbor Skyline at home to take on the Saline Hornets in a Southeastern Conference clash. Skyline in white, 7-4 on the year, first quarter. The junior, Jermaine Davis, count it, and the contact. Saline looking to win its 7th game on the season. Griffin Yaklich, the dribble drive, dish to the senior Tyler Belskis, who is bunny bound. Hornets down 14-6 after the opening quarter. But the Eagles would respond in a big way to start the second. The junior Denali Deloach, the steal, and he delivers the 2-hand smack batter. The Hornets retort in transition. The Division I recruit, the senior Yaklich, the difficult deuce. Team high 14, Saline trailed 29-20 into halftime. Eagles came out flying to start the second half. Crashing the glass for second chance opportunities. They kick it out to the senior Kabir Bergen. Put it on the board. Yes, the tray. Skyline up double digits. More in the third. Bergen time. The finish and the foul. Eagles led 48-25 into the fourth. Skyline owned it the rest of the way. The junior Jack Williams from behind the long line. Ann Arbor Skyline cruises 63-44. Let's head back west to GR City High School. The Muskegon Big Reds going toe-to-toe with the Saginaw Trojans. 14th ranked Muskegon, 9 up, only 1 down. Jarvis Walker had himself a first quarter, 14 points. Spot up Jay. Big Reds led 21-15 after the opening stanza. Saginaw, just a game over 500 currently, 5-4 coming into this classic. Surreal Smith with the kick to Leland Summers, one of his 3 triples in the second quarter that accompanied his team-high 18 points. Trojans back on the attack. Freddie McIntosh sees the junior Lavelle Broadnex in the post. He had 13 points. Big Reds countered. Billy Roberts was a force on the offensive line during the football season. He can b-ball as well. Kiss off the window. Muskegon led 41-36 at the break. Seesaw affair the rest of the way. The Saginaw senior Smith, the step-back triple. 14-point game for Smith. Muskegon rallies another football star. In fact, the reigning state champs, Mr. Football, Cameron Martinez, sees Samari Knox to the 10. Big Reds down by a digit. Early stages of the fourth. Saginaw trailing 63-57. McIntosh scores the difficult deuce. The Saginaw Valley State commit had 11. But Muskegon would not be denied. Walker misses on the attempt, but Knox there for the putback. Big Reds get a big win. They beat Saginaw 77-74. Muskegon now 10-1 on the year. The nightcap, the main event, the marquee matchup. This was a number 11 versus number 10 in the state. The 2018 Class B state champs, 10-1 Benton Harbor, taking on the 2019 Division I state champs, 9-1 Ypsilanti Lincoln. Lincoln with signature wins over surging squads like Okemos and Detroit Edison. First quarter, Simon Wheeler dishes to Decorian Temple. Temple tallied 12 points on the night. Benton Harbor only defeat this season to number 3 Flint Beecher. Big games ahead, including Grand Rapids Catholic Central, but they came to play here. Kentrell pulling in drives, spots a wide open Greg Cooper. Tigers led 21-14. Standing room only as fans flock to feast their eyes on two of the best players in the state. The Tigers' Scooby Johnson and the Rail Splitters' Imani Bates. Johnson, the rejection on Bates. Joseph Johnson then feeds to William Suggs. Splashdown. All 13 of Suggs' points came in the first half. If you follow basketball nationally, you know Bates, number 1 player in the country for the class of 2022. If the NBA rules change and allow players to go straight to the NBA from high school, this dude is projected to be lottery. Second chance opportunity, bucket, and one. However, Ypsilanti Lincoln trailed by 16 at the half, 44-28. Benton Harbor put their foot down, never lifted it off its victim. The Mr. Basketball hopeful Johnson and Fuego, hoop and the harm. The Butler recruit finished with a team on 19. Tigers led by 22 points heading into the fourth quarter. B. Harbor flat out had the eye of the tiger. Quintarius Davis finds Cooper. He also finished in double figures with 12. On paper, this should have been a whole lot closer. Instead, Benton Harbor 73-51 the final.
I'm Chuck Pellerito, and we finish things up in Southfield. The 9-3 Southfield Christian Eagles hosted the 8-2 Novi Christian Warriors in an MIAC Blue Clash. The Eagles' defense would be the key to start things off in this one. Varian Patrick able to knock the ball loose and come up with it. Finishes hard at the rim. He'll get back on defense. Another takeaway, and Patrick going again. This time he'll get the hoop and the harm as the Eagles were up 19-8 after one. But the Warriors would fight back in the second. Ethan Cooper going to get one from mid-range for a quick pair off the inbound. A few plays later, Cooper going to find Jonathan Blackwell. He'll drive the lane and get some help from the board and get the bucket. They win into halftime trailing 38-22. Southfield Christian would keep the pedal down in the second half. Taryn Carter not going to be able to convert the layup, but Noah Recker right there for the board and the open look for three. Eagles working the ball inside before a kick out, and check out the freshie balling with the big boys. Michael Levidny gonna drop a triple try after three. Southfield Christian led 63-37. But the Warriors weren't giving up. They started to get hot from the outside. Dawson Clement gonna find Blake Goodman with the wide open look from behind the long line, and he won't miss. But the Eagles were too much to handle. Caleb Dixon with the block, and a little 2-on-1. Ronald Johnson and Recker gonna finish. As Southfield Christian goes on to win this one, 78-64, our final score.
February is Black History Month, and this week, State Champs salutes Kevin Glenn. Although closed for 15 years now, Detroit DePores High School will be remembered as one of the greatest sports schools ever. 39 state championships in total, 12 in football. A 4-3-year sports star quarterback in the mid-90s was Kevin Glenn. The Eagles won back-to-back titles in 95 and 96. Glenn was the guts and the glue for DePores. His junior year alone throwing for over 1,300 yards with 250 more on the ground. Glenn guided the Eagles to their 10th state championship in 1996, which at the time was most in state history. Glenn went on to play at Illinois State, where he set 25 school records. Glenn has competed at the highest level in the Canadian Football League, and he's considered by many one of the best quarterbacks in CFL history. In June, he retired after 18 seasons and just recently was hired at Detroit Catholic Central as the first admissions community outreach manager in school history. State Champs salutes Kevin Glenn.
It's time now for the MHSAA Basketball Clip of the Week, and it goes to Denali Deloach from Ann Arbor Skyline High School. Here getting the steal and goes on in for the two-handed slam in the win over Saline, and that's your MHSAA Basketball Clip of the Week.
Back in the saddle now, and let's get both of your thoughts on the Red Hawks showcase. TJ, the floor is yours.
I tell you what, there were people spread out all over the floor. It was great. It was a great environment. It was must-see basketball. 3,000 people filled the gym, and 2,500 people were there for the tip-off for the first game. Got to see Carman Ainsworth beat the host Grand Rapids Union. It's a pretty tight game going back and forth. I know that Grand Rapids Union was battling with a little illness. Great to see Carman Ainsworth pull out the victory. The battle of the two super juniors and Jaden Akins with Farmington. On the other side, you had Kobe Buffkin, who led Grand Rapids Christian to the victory. Then moving on, hey, I'll tell you what, Tyson Acuff has been nothing short of phenomenal this year. I think he's playing his way into the Mr. Like a serious, he's a top 5 guy. I don't think that's going anywhere. I also think, he'll more than likely wrap up the Mr. PSL award, which will be awarded, in the next couple of weeks. Shout out to Jamani Jones. I think that he's one of those kids who's definitely worthy of a scholarship.
At East Kentwood.
East Kentwood. They lost by a point, but hey, it is
in overtime.
In overtime. Then you had the team matchup that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. And Orchard Lake St. Mary's came in there and they were like, we're not losing any more games. And they handled Hudsonville, and I'm not sure that Hudsonville was necessarily ready for what Orchard Lake St. Mary's brought to the table. Muskegon wound up beating Saginaw. Lavelle Bradnox is a kid that we brought up in the top 100 to start the year. He was phenomenal in the game. Just did everything, hit the boards, blocked shots. Had a sound double-double and led Saginaw just short of the victory. Scooby Johnson is something phenomenal, and I think that when you talk about Mr. Basketballs, Tyson Acuff is a top 5 guy. Scooby Johnson is 1 or 2.
No, I'd say Bowman and Scooby are kind of 1 and 2, and then Tyson Acuff and Matt Nicholson are coming up the rear.
Yeah, well, let's not count out the guy over at Flint Beecher, Jalen Terry.
But Jalen Terry's candidacy kind of got waylaid by the injuries early on.
Until Flint Beecher beat.
Until he put up 30.
But yeah, that was a fun
spot against Bowman and Roper.
Yep, but moving on, it was a phenomenal atmosphere, great games. Ypsilanti Lincoln wound up coming up short. Monty Bates did have 29 points in the game, if that's a consolation prize. But yeah, phenomenal game. Shout out to Brandon Guyton, Grand Rapids Union, and the Red Hawk Showcase. And I'm sure we'll see plenty of more of those in the future.
One of my takeaways is that you might have to move the venue next year. I mean, that place was filled to the rafters, and there was an electricity, which is good, but it's you almost get a point where maybe we should open this up in a bigger arena.
Yeah, maybe go to the Deltaplex.
Yeah, well, they could go to the Deltaplex. I kind of look at it like, hey, you had a snow day or something like that, then all of a sudden you're stuck and you get 100 fans in a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 venue. So I don't know if that will work.
All right, quickly before we do our preview, you want to shout out Ferndale.
Oh, yeah. I just want to say that we got a team in the OA Red right now, the Ferndale Eagles. They're under 500, and there aren't many times during midwinter where you're talking about a team that's under 500 that you think has a good chance to make a long run in the state tournament. But this group right now is playing the toughest schedule in the state. Juan Rickman is getting them primed. They won on Tuesday night, 70-67 over West Bloomfield. They might be 6-7 overall, but they're 5-1 in the OA Red, which is maybe the toughest league in the state. They got 3 surefire Division I players in Trey Lewis, the sophomore, silky smooth guard, Colin Golson, who's going to Siena. He's in the middle, has got maybe the best motor in the OAA, and then Jay Sean Moore on the wing. They got 2 nice freshmen, and Caleb Renfro and Cameron Reed, and then Juan Rickman always does an outstanding job. So look for the Eagles come March.
All right. Hey, we've already laid down the schedule for Hangtime next week. Would love to get Scott and TJ's take on how some of these might go down. Langsburg at Pewamo, Westphalia will be covering. That's a nice small school matchup. Macomb, Dakota at L'Anse Creuse North. Benton Harbor versus Grand Rapids Catholic Central. That's a monster. That's going to be at the Floyd Mayweather Invitational. Arbor Prep at Hanover Horton is a big one. Westland John Glenn has been kind of hanging around. They got UD Jesuit. They've been playing great as of late. And obviously, we're going to have the PSL semifinals. We'll have both games. That will be at Cass Tech. And then we're also going to pick up DEPSA at Clarkson. What do you think about some of those matchups?
Hey, I think that when you look at the CMAC in the Central Michigan, that Pewamo, Westphalia, Langsburg game, you talk about one of the tougher divisions or leagues in the state, and 2 Division III teams that are going to make a run. I got to lean towards Pewamo, Westphalia. They've just traditionally got it done.
They are the defending state champs.
And they are the defending state champs. I'm sure Iron Mountain has something to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Benton Harbor continuing to play some of these tough teams. GRCC will be a great match.
Yeah, Catholic Central, I think their depth is one of the things which is going to help them. They've got senior leadership. Jack Karazinski, again, playing well. Mikhail Bingham playing outstanding. We brought up Jamani Jones as a kid who I think is a scholarship player. I'd have to say the same thing about Devin Boyd, who's a senior for Catholic Central as well. And they can just hurt you in so many different ways that, hey, it's going to be a great matchup. But hey, Benton Harbor, they've won a state championship, and they've got Scooby Johnson.
Yeah, and the Catholic League playoffs will be coming up shortly as well, and that is wide open.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah, there you
go. I mean, even though Orchard Lake's the favorite.
Of course. All right, that's our show, guys. Make sure you check out Scott's blog, Bernie's Bites at statechampsnetwork.com. Check out our boys' basketball rankings provided by TJ Kelly. Follow them both on Twitter, and you will be in the know. Take care, everybody. We'll see you at tip-off.
State Champs Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University, where Blue Devils dare. Also brought to you in part by Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The U.S. Army, what's your warrior? The Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan, because better coaching always matters.